Hello, everybody. Welcome to the AWS Fundamentals Recitation. My name is Arjun, and me and Rohimang are going to be talking about AWS. This recitation is broken down over 4 parts. In the first part, we talk about AWS basics, where we talk about regions, budgets, credits, and the limits. Then we talk about setting up EC2 instances, where we talk about what AMIs are, what are the different instance types, setting up security groups and SSH. And then we talk about stopping and terminating instances. In the third part taken by Ruimeng, we're going to be talking about setting up your SSH configuration and also adding storage to it, EFS and EBS storage. And in the fourth part, we're going to talk about attaching a notebook to an AWS server. So let's get started. So this is the AWS website, and there is one peculiar way of setting up your AWS account for this course. So when you sign up for your AWS account, you would be needed to sign up in this order. You would have your Andrew ID, in my case, it's urgency, followed by a plus, followed by the course name, which is 11785. This is a requirement put forth by CMU, and so we will be following this to get our credits assigned accordingly. Once we log in, we'll end up on the console page. This gives us an overview about everything that's happening in our AWS account. So as you can see over here, there are a few different tabs over here and can be a little overwhelming. I'm going to guide you through a few different things. So first of all, we're going to talk about the region. And so AWS is basically a bunch of computers set up in different regions. And so we're going to be using one particular region, which has a bunch of different computers for our use case. And in our use case, we're going to be using the Ohio Center, which is the East 2 region. This basically, we've seen it to be cheaper and also has better latency since it's closer to Pittsburgh. Then we move on to the billing. This is one important thing that we should that everybody should know. And so we click on our username and then we go on to the billing dashboard. The billing dashboard talks about your usage of the AWS, your costs incurred till now, and your payment history, that is the payment history of your account so far. This is very useful because this gives you an overview about how you've been using your credits and how you can set up your budgets accordingly. We're going to talk about all of those things shortly. So to begin with, we're going to talk about bills. And so as you can see in the bills tab over here, you see that I do not have currently any bills because I'm not running any instances. But over different, you can use the drop-down menu and select a different month, and that will give you your usage. Talking about using your bills, we're going to be giving you credits as a part of this course, and this can be found under the credits tab on the left. As you can see, I have a CMU code which gives me $150. This is for the entire semester. And so we're going to be using that to first interface with our AWS account and then subsequently add a alternative payment account, alternative paying method wherein we'll be adding a credit card or something of that sort. But we found that the $150 limit has sufficed in all cases. So one way to very judiciously use your credits is to talk about setting up budgets. And so to do that, you can click on the budgets tab under cost management. And what this allows you to do is basically set up an alert for whenever you've hit a particular threshold of your budget and you get a notification. This allows you to be mindful of how your credits are being used. So to create a budget, we click on the Create Budget tab on the top right side. We go to Customize and we use a cost budget. Click on Next. Here we provide a budget name. So in this case, I'll just provide it with 11785 budget. And this will be a monthly recurring budget, which is refreshed every month. So since we have $150, which is spread over approximately 3 months, we're going to be using $50 per month on average. And so our budgeted amount would be $50 in this case. Be sure to select the tab which says all AWS services because there are a bunch of different charges that you incur. And so it is important that you take care of all of those charges in your when you're budgeting your coupons. You click on Next. And then you can have a threshold setup, an alert setup, basically, at different thresholds. So what this does is whenever you reach a particular threshold of your budget, it gives you an reminder. So the way to do that is basically we recommend setting up two alerts, one at 50% of your usage and one at 80% of your usage. And so you enter 50 over here, which is 50% of the total amount. And then you enter your email ID over here, which allows you to get an email whenever you're done using that percentage of your budget. And we can add another alert over here where we're going to be setting it up at $80, 80%, which is at $40 of the 50 per month that we have. And we will enter our email ID again. We click on next. We verify all of your alerts, threshold at 50%, threshold at 80% of the actual costs, and we create a budget. Once you're done creating a budget, you would get something like this, which gives you an overview of what is your forecasted amount. It gives you a prediction as to how much amount you're going to be using according to your previous usage patterns. And this will give you a percentage of your usage patterns. Talking about using, we're going to talk about the computers that we're going to be using. So we're going to look up the EC2 instance in the search bar. And what an EC2 instance is EC2 basically stands for Elastic Cloud Compute. And these basically are different computers which are provided by AWS. And as you know, all computers come with different configurations in terms of their memory, in terms of the CPU, GPUs. And so for our use case, where we be going to use this for training models, we're going to be using a GPU instance. And so to do that, um, you can basically talk about different instances. And so what an instance basically is basically a computer which has different configurations. And so you can see all the instances that are available under the instance tab and instance types tab, my bad. And this gives you all the configurations that are available over here. And so for our use case, we're going to be primarily using the P-type and the G-type instances, which basically have a GPU in them. One small problem that you're going to be which you're going to be experiencing over here is that since you have a new account, you won't be able to use a P-type or a G-type instance right off the bat. And to do that, we are going to be having to request a limit increase on our account. So to increase our limit, we go to the limits tab on the top left side, and we see there are a few different types of limits that are available over here. So we're going to be focusing on the running instances and the requested instances. So I'll talk about what these two different instances mean. So a running instance is basically when you give AWS money and AWS guarantees you a machine which you're going to be using. This allows you to have a machine every time guaranteed, but this will also be at a higher cost to you. To overcome this, we can use a requested instance wherein, depending on how much the AWS server is under load, you can request a spot instance wherein, depending on the availability, you can get a computer. And these charges, this will be at a lower cost to you. So we're going to be working with both of these instances, depending on what you're trying to get at. And so we'll increase these limits for both of these. So if you click on running instances, you'll see all the different types of running instances that are available. And under requested instances, you can see all of the different requested instances available. And so since we're going to be working primarily with the P-type and the G-type for requested and running instances, we're going to select one of these, and we're going to request a limit increase by clicking on the tab on the top right. This takes us to their support console, which is a customer survey, the customer support side of things. And over here, we talk about increasing the service limit. As you can see, this has already been selected. We're going to be talking about EC2 instances because that's what we're going to be using for training our models. And in the region, since we're using Ohio, we're going to select that. And over here, it's going to ask us what is our primary instance type. So like I said, we're going to be using a P-type. And to increase our limit, we're going to talk about increasing it to 8 vGPUs. We can add another request over here itself for Ohio. and select the G type instance. And over here also, we're going to use request 8 vCPUs. And scrolling down, we see that we need to provide a description of why we're going to be using so many GPUs. So you can basically tell them that you're a student from CMU, you're doing the 11785 course on deep learning, and that you need the AWS GPUs to run your experimentation and also your aberrations. And once you do that, you can submit it. It takes usually less than a day to process these requests, but this can change depending on what time of the year it is. All right, so once you've done this, we then repeat the same thing for your requested instances. It's the same process. And in the next lecture, recitation, we're going to talk about setting up an EC2 instance with our OS drive with an AMI. Thank you.